Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Red Rock partners, telecom enthusiasts, and welcome to the very first Red Rock podcast where Red Rock presents Wired for Success. In this podcast, we will be discussing everything within the telecoms industry, updates, things to look out for, things to actually, for a business really, to keep aware of moving forward into the future. We will then also talk a bit more about Red Rock, as many of you may know who we are, many of you potentially don't. So we'll be talking more into the brand and who we are really as a company within the telecoms industry. Every month we'll be discussing a product of choice, going into how that can benefit your business now and in the future, and again, make your life just easier. I think we all like that, don't we?
Oh,
We'll also, every podcast, we'll bring in on a special guest, whether it's a client, whether it's a partner that we're working with, or just a business that wants 10 to 20 minutes to tell people how great they are, before, again, talking about things within the month that that you should be looking out for, that Red Rock will be doing within the wider community. So yeah, without further ado, my name is Emmanuel. I'm the head of marketing and brand marketing coordinator at Red Rock. And I want to introduce my partner in crime for today's podcast, and certainly my very first special guest, golf enthusiast, and certainly the brainiac within the telecoms facilities at Red Rock, co-founder, and certainly my, again, partner and very good friend, Mr. Paul Bates.
thank you, Manny. Not too sure about Brainiac, but I'll take that as a compliment. Thanks for having me on this first podcast of many, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I think we're going to start with a few quick questions and
so
fire away.
with this being the first podcast, I think many people may not know who we are. So I do want to take it back to the beginning. Let's strip away all the success, everything that we've achieved, which I know is basically endless. And let's give them a step-by-step guide of how did Red Rock begin and who are we?
Who are we? Where did it begin?
Yeah.
So me and Paul James, the current managing director, we worked together for best part of 15 years at a previous company called Staveley Communications. It was a fantastic small business, family run. But unfortunately, things in life change and we have to change with them. So it was probably about 6 years ago, the ownership model changed at Staveley. And just a bit of a change of culture, and probably what we were familiar with changed quite significantly. So me and Paul kind of got together, as most businesses, or certainly a lot, start over a pint in the pub.
As they did.
And we just we seen the opportunity and just felt it was the right time in our lives. We'd have been sort of mid-30s at the time, that we weren't going to get that opportunity again.
Yeah.
So between the two of us, we kind of made the decision, it was time to make a break, make a clean start. And it's kind of snowballed from there, really. Paul set the business up in 2018, November. I somewhat selfishly, as Paul likes to remind me, had a cheeky ski trip in January. So I didn't actually join Paul technically till it would have been March, April of 2019.
Okay.
And certainly for the first 2 years were, to say we winged it and hecked it. But we survived and, we flourished. It was, in many respects, probably the easiest couple of years of our lives because we were just independent. We just had ourselves to worry about. Looking back, it's kind of amazing where we've come to, really.
Absolutely.
So those first 2 years were essentially, they were long, hard days.
Yeah.
So Paul's background was sort of cabling manager.
Yeah.
So he was out on the tools naturally for 15 years. Something I'd done when I sort of got into the industry when I was sort of early 20s. So that was a bit of a shock to my system, and Paul James coming picking me up at certainly 5-6 a.m. and he don't get me wrong, man, he'd have been on the go at 4 a.m.
Oh geez, fair enough.
So we drive up and down the country from bloody Glasgow down to Bristol.
Wow.
essentially looking after our clients' infrastructure needs. So that would be sort of Cat 5, Cat 6, fibre optic cables. So yeah, we were kind of, I think, often use the word lucky, I think fortunate.
Yeah.
In that the relationships we'd formed over those probably 15 years were very strong. And what we found from those relationships is there was still a demand for our sort of support services and the value add that we brought. So after sort of 2 years of up and down the country, working out of a garage, we were fortunate enough that we're in a position to kind of look at setting up a permanent residency.
Nice.
So that's when we took the office in Hollingwood, which is just in Oldham. I think we were only there for 6 months before we were burgled.
Oh wow!
So that was a bit of a shock. And then 3 months later, we were burgled a second time in the same building. So it's kind of like
telling the sign.
Guys, we need to move on here. So we did. We moved to Chambers, and that's kind of probably where it really started to snowball to where it is today. Certainly when we were at Hollingwood, we took our first employee on, and that was it was quite a momentous occasion. I remember it well. Me and Paul it was a group interview that our business coach at the time had kind of insisted we did. And it was all very alien to us. It was kind of, I've had very few interviews myself, so to be kind of trying to give interviews was a bit of a shock to the system. So we were expecting 7 people for our first role to turn up, and we were sort of meeting and greeting at the door, and I think we had 3 people, Karen, Vicky and Lizzie.
Nice.
And in the end, we actually took Vicky and Lizzie on. That wasn't the plan originally, but Lizzie was part-time. Unfortunately, she decided to move on and pursue her career in teaching, which, was probably the right decision. It was the right decision for Lizzie. But I'm quite proud in the fact that Vicky is still with us today, and she kind of forms quite a core member of the team.
Absolutely.
Certainly the person I sort of fall to for many things.
As we all do.
Yeah, indeed. So we then moved on to Chambers, which was only ever meant to be a temporary sort of stopping gap. And it's at that point we took Elle on, as you know. So again, Elle's role, as is often the case, we set out with sort of certain intentions, certain requirements, and it turned out Elle's role we took her on for adapted and changed. So she was originally meant to be working with Chris. We'll touch on Chris in a second, and kind of do more operational things. But it felt more right that she work in sort of the bookkeeping and accounting element, accounting side of things, which is kind of where she's thrived for the past 2 years. So touching on Chris kind of makes me laugh a little. So we were up at a big client of ours, Hotwood Hall, and me and Paul had been desperate for a cabling engineer because we were out on the tools. It was a hot summer day.
Oh wow!
And I was pulling some bloody cuts here, there, and everywhere. And I got a call off a good client of mine, actually, Andrew Howarth, of Making Space. He just dropped it on me. The timing was fantastic. Are you looking for a cabling engineer? So you wouldn't believe it, Andrew. We're desperate for a cabling engineer. Sign me up, Is he any good? I was like, chomping at the bit. So Chris came to meet us. A very different interview to some of the others. Very informal. Again, probably because of that introduction.
Yeah.
And we signed Chris up, within 2 weeks.
Amazing.
And he was out in the van, and that the impact that had on Paul was massive, because that essentially it was massive on me, but it allowed Paul to just step into this role as managing director and really drive the business forward, which is what he's been doing, as you know, for the past couple of years. It's certainly something I needed, and certainly something the business needed. So I'm again glad to say Chris is still with us. He absolutely loves what he's doing. Does keep reminding me regularly that he needs an assistant. So it'll be this year, Chris, and I think I'm going to have to stick to that. And he's got me on camera now. So this time next year, Chris, you'll definitely have a junior.
It's coming, Chris.
It's coming, definitely. And if it's not, then yeah, if you can play this video back.
I'm sorry.
So Chris was, had a massive impact. And again, it's just how things, we carried on taking on clients, and we needed support services, and my role had kind of adapted and changed. Back in the day, it was me and Paul, we'd be getting in from jobs, and at 8, 9 at night, we're desperate. Like, we've got to get this invoice out. It's got to get out. Paul would be, oh, you've sent the invoice. It's the VAT's not on it, or this, that. Oh, God. And we made such a mountain out of so many little molehills because just about naivety. It took us a few years. We kind of realised why are we sending invoices after every job? Let's just once a week, just get the process going and just make life a bit easier for us. Not waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning and I've got to get an invoice out and chasing payments, and it was all as Paul says, back in the dark days. But moving on, we took on, who would have been next? It would have been Alex. So again, we'd worked with Alex for 10 to 12 years. Again at the previous company, and to be fair, Alex was keen when we made that decision to kind of come with us. But unfortunately for Alex, he'd just had his 4th child with his wife Katie.
Oh, nice.
So he was kind of in a, he couldn't make that, he couldn't take that decision and that risk. Because at the end of the day, it was a big risk. But we went back to Alex after, would have been a couple of years, put a proposal to him. Again, tough decision for Alex. I know it was, but hopefully the right decision. And he joined us, shortly after. And he's kind of heading up the support side of the business, which again, is something that I'm quite passionate about. That's essentially my background. So I spent 15 years doing senior customer support. And again, we just carried on growing a little and little. We signed up with Gamma to provide internet services and all this stuff you see behind us. And again, that was tough. That was another big step. So it's all this kind of the little steps that lead to the bigger ones. And it's only looking back that we kind of go, we've done pretty well here.
Came a long way.
But it does also have the consequences of when you are growing and you're having to do a lot of things, a lot of different things, a lot of plates spinning, as we often say. And it kind of got to the point, I think Paul James realised that I was, not in a really bad way, but really, taking too much on. And it's at that point he kind of took that decision to look for somebody that does the provisioning and project management and service delivery for customers, because again, it's vital, and it probably wasn't getting the
attention it needed.
It was, things were getting done, but they weren't getting done as quickly or as efficiently or as customer centric as we'd have all liked. And that's kind of where Sarah came in. She'd had a background, it was just perfect time, perfect fit.
Yeah, she came from Gamma as well.
She was provisioning team at Gamma. But again, her background is also compliance, as she likes to remind me, processes, and she also studied for law at university. So, a hugely intelligent woman. So we took Sarah on, and she kind of took that element off, and she kind of just ran with that from day one, which again, a massive thanks to Sarah for that, because that's been, an actual huge burden that's been removed. And then we were acutely aware from day one, I think, Manny, our background, none of it is sales and marketing. I've done account management in a form and created relationships and trust, and that makes a massive part of it. But in actually generating new sales and new business, as it was a massive weakness. We were really fortunate that our existing client base have allowed us to get to where we want to be, but we want to step up a little bit again and again. So that kind of led to the 18-month pursuit of the Toshster, or Tosh as he is officially known, in the role as a BDM. So Paul interviewed Tosh, it would be well on 18 months ago. And Tosh just wasn't quite right in the position at the time to make that move. I think he'd just had his first child. And then we were looking, and we just weren't finding that right fit. And then Paul took a call off Tosh probably 7 months ago. And he was just asking, is that position still there? So before you know it, Tosh had signed up and he was on the books. Really important part of the team.
Yeah.
Again, the ethos that he carries, which is sort of transparency and honesty, which is something that's quite important to us, was kind of one of his main characteristics. So it's kind of a perfect match. So Tosh's, his background was in fuel, so it was a very, it's a big step for him.
Yeah.
So the last 5 months have been spent with a lot of training, a lot of developing of his skills. And then we come to, I think my least favourite employee, Manny. The one who drags me to podcasts and such like. But no, in seriousness, we were acutely aware that we needed somebody to promote our business. It's not something that naturally comes to us. We're not big shouters. We don't scream and shout. We should do, because we do a lot of good. But we need somebody to, portray that for us. And yeah, you've been with us for five.
A bit less than that, to be fair. 4
weeks. Yeah. So it's been interesting. It's been interesting to see a different perspective and a very different take on things. And yeah, here we are today. We're just slowly going from the sort of garage to the first office to the second office, and now we're in sort of what we would say is our home for certainly the next 5 years, which is in Duckingfield, which is a lovely, lovely office.
It is.
So plenty of room for expansion.
Yeah, brilliant. It's great to just even understand and see from, again, when it started with just you and Paul in the garage to then expanding into what it is now today, where, it's 10 of us. We have the key members in key areas to make sure that the business actually operates to the level it needs to be. But I think the honest and really the hard-working, customer-centric ethos that you two carried, even from your previous roles, is still with us today. And I think, again, from some of the clients that we deal with, the old clients and new clients, even the case studies I've been doing, that customer-centric approach that we will go above and beyond for our customers rings bells. So I think that's, again, a huge part of who Red Rock are, really, that certainly holds testament till today. So I think that leads me into the next question is, primarily within the telecoms industry then, what makes us different? Like, what makes us Red Rock?
I think you summed it up there, Manny, to be honest. It's not... We're not trying to redesign the wheel. But the wheels are already there. We know that. What we're trying to do is kind of put a chassis on them wheels and just, and it sounds a bit cliched, but just create a bit of structure, create that trust, create that honest approach, that transparency. I think the industry we work in, for whatever reason, and probably reasons we are aware of, does not have the best reputations, to say the least. I think there's been a lot of mis-selling over the years. There's a lot of horror stories that have been in the press. So we just want to take a really simple approach. And again, I refer back to it. It's transparency, it's honesty, it's being able to have them conversations with clients and actually put forward solutions that are beneficial to their business. It's not about what's beneficial to Red Rock.
Yeah.
That, again, we believe that if we do the right things for the right clients, the success will naturally come for Red Rock.
Yeah.
So putting the clients at the forefront of what we do, be that, and it's through all elements of the business. Had you asked me 2 years ago or 3 years, I'd have said, it's customer support, it's support, because that's where I came from. But I think in the past couple of years, there's been a realisation it's not just that. It's support, it's delivery of service, it's delivery of quotes, it's throughout the business. And it is difficult.
Yeah.
It really is. But it's very rewarding when we do see those success stories that we've got.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with the client testimonials, when, we'll finish a job and they come in and they'll just congratulate us face to face, or they will leave a Google review or send us an email just saying thank you for that smooth process. You know, you took me out of a dark time where, you know, if they had no internet and they had no support because their current providers wasn't communicating with them. And I think it leads to us actually understanding our clients. You and me have been on countless visits to Opal, a new partnership that we formed with Willowwood, where we don't just come in and say, okay, you know, here's a box of phones, install them. We actually want to sit down and understand how they operate, understand if a phone line doesn't work, how does it impact you? You know, if it's the people you're taking care of, is it your customers, is it the overall business? And then again, provide that tailor-made bespoke solution that works for you. So that's where I kind of, again, speaking to some of my case study clients for the articles I'm writing, I've changed our job title a little bit. Instead of being telecom providers, no, we're expert telecoms consultants, because we actually do consult our clients and give them the honest truth on what is best for them, which is brilliant, to be fair. And I think, again, that is what makes us different.
Yeah, I've been to, I said to you earlier, I've been to many customer sites or also new potential customers where it's almost a hit and run job from certain providers. So they'll go in, and as silly as it sounds, I've had customers with, you know, the latest hardware, the latest software, and they've turned around to us and said, this system's rubbish, it's not doing what we need it to do.
Yeah.
Can you give us a replacement? And it's like, hang on, guys. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the hardware. It's the implementation. You need consultancy. You just need to understand what you've got and how we can best utilise it. So it's not always about just replacing for the sake of replacing.
Yeah.
It's taking that tailored approach to each customer, understanding each customer's requirements, because businesses are like people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, every one of them is different. They'll have a lot of fundamentals, and I think I've learned this over the past few years. A lot of fundamentals which are the same, but they're all slightly unique.
Yeah.
They all need something slightly unique to their comms. And I think that's the main approach that we take. I mean, we look at sort of Making Space, who are a charity we work with, and they've got 72 sites across the UK. The importance to their telecoms is, you know, it's life and death.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah, very much.
So it means a lot to us. Again, we went to Opal last week.
Which is amazing experience.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. I think what resonated with me there was the young girl Danielle, and she didn't have broadband at home.
Yeah.
So for her to be able to go somewhere safe and that environment, and we all take it for granted, I think.
We do.
And to be able to have a service which is reliable, available, and free is a fantastic testament to Opal.
Yeah.
And, you know, not just ourselves. At the end of the day, what we're providing is a service, but it's a service that means something to a lot of people. And I think there's times where, without going to sites and meeting people, you kind of forget that. You just kind of say, oh, it's just another internet. It's just another service.
You lose touch with how important it is for people.
And then we, you know, same for Positive Steps and a few of the others that we look after, Brook sexual health clinics across the UK. You know, it's imperative that they can be communicated with because of the needs of young people. Yeah. So you step back a bit and kind of look at what we've done for them and the services and the skills that we've provided them with, and it's quite, you know,
it's remarkable. Yeah,
it is. It's amazing. So, and then you get the feedback from Helen at Brook, which makes it sort of worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think we hit the nail on the head. What makes us different within the telecoms industry? I think it's just, again, caring.
It's simple.
Caring, yeah, it's simple.
I
just
think
caring.
we can overcomplicate things, and if we just step back and just say, I refer back to them all the time: transparency and honesty.
Yeah, and gets you far.
That's it. The services are the services. You know, if we can provide good consultancy, good advice, and good aftercare with support.
Yeah. That can go
That's
wrong.
all there
Yeah,
is to it.
and we're always here to provide education, whether it is, using our services. We provide free consultations where, we will speak to you. We can provide the education and information for you. And if you wish to use us, by all means, we'll go above and beyond to make sure that we provide the right solution to make not only your life easier, but certainly just easier for your customers. So I think it's great. So I think that leads to the next
I think that's
question.
somewhere that you'll probably look towards more sort of with social media.
Absolutely.
Of the education and actually doing things like this where we can actually give back a bit.
Yeah.
And again, we chatted about this, was it last week, about actually what can we do.
Yeah.
A lot of our work at the minute is sort of within the local community. And I think we were naively, when we first started, we were kind of, let's look at the big
big whale,
picture.
yeah.
And it's kind of like, we don't really need to do that. It's nice to have, but there's enough business locally that we'd love to work with.
Absolutely.
And again, that feedback you get from that is a lot more rewarding at times than some others.
Because those are the ones you actually, you're in the community, you see how it helps them, whether you drive past or you can go in, just for a regular appointment, you see it. And the big business we do have, but the biggest businesses are going to operate. So I think that leads into like the new strategy, certainly for November, that we're going to lead into. But I think I'll give you a personal question.
Cool.
So this is totally tailor-made for you. What would you say are some of the key achievements Red Rock has had so far? If you had to mention four is a nice number.
Yeah. I think the first one's got to be taking on our first employee.
Okay, nice.
So obviously that would be Vicky and Lizzie at the time, but the fact that Vicky's still with us and has kind of formed such a core part of the team, I think that's a massive one. I think the second one would probably be winning the Williams BMW.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's, we're talking 700 seats across 7 or 8 sites in the Northwest that are, basically the number one BMW franchise in the Northwest.
Yeah.
And again, that's testament to the work we've done previously. I think a third would be just seeing Paul's progression, Paul James.
Yeah.
Having known him for so long, and taking that role as managing director and just driving the business forward. I think that's got to be up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think also it's a bit of a milestone, isn't it? Just getting to the 10th employee. It's a bit of a milestone. Yeah. So I think that's a bit of a milestone that we certainly should be quite proud of. I could hark back and say, still being in business and hitting certain numbers, but I think they'd all be a bit cliched, to be honest, Manny.
Fair enough. I think those are certainly amazing 4 milestones, key achievements that we've reached. So, again, with the big business with BMW. So I think it branches out of maybe just some of our usual clients and industries that we tap into, where again that is in the motor trade industry, and again it shows our flexibility that we can cater for the charities, within the healthcare industry, but again we can still understand and consult people in the motor industry or the recruitment industry or the local independents with the solicitors, accountants, and estate agents. So again, shows our flexibility that we don't just wear one hat for one industry. We can consult everyone really.
Yeah, we've worked in many sort of verticals over the 15-20 year career that we've had. So we've kind of, like you said, alluded to, worked with motor trade, estate agents, solicitors. But it is nice, and I think what we're currently trying to do is just find specific solutions for specific industries and really try and tailor things and be how can we help your business at the end of the day? It's not just a case of us doing a sort of dash and run, or hit and run. We want it to be beneficial, and at the end of the day, that might be productivity, it might be cost savings, it might be efficiency, or it might just be you want a bigger presence, or business continuity. Yeah, they're kind of the core elements really we work towards.
Absolutely, I agree. So moving on to the second part of the podcast, this is where we take a product month by month and really break it down, because I feel like when it comes to connectivity and telephony, people just think, okay, it's just a phone, or connectivity is just a, internet broadband. But we really want to take a product that we work with and break down the features, making sure that you understand exactly what it is and what it does. The benefits, really the hardcore facts really on how it can benefit your business, and certainly the advantages and results that you will see from it. So this month we actually announced and welcomed a new product to our catalog in telephony, 3CX. So again, people may be aware of 3CX or maybe may not, but they certainly big clients like Coca-Cola, Mercedes-Benz, Pizza Hut, the likes of them, Uber, all use that software for their telephony services. And again, it's a huge milestone for us as well, I'd say, that the fact that we've actually formed that partnership with them. But could we really break down what is 3CX really, and why did we choose to partner with them?
So traditionally we've been an Avaya IP office house. Obviously we took on the Gamma Horizon and Gamma Contact. That's been in the past 18 months. But we kind of, us as a business, seeing a bit of a gap in our portfolio with where the Avaya IP Office roadmap is going, and we felt we needed to find a product which was as good, if not better, than that current product, and would kind of fit that. I mean, 3CX can go from one user up to thousands, but we kind of see it in the sort of 15 to 200 user market. And it's just it's quite disruptive in its pricing model. The licensing model is fantastically simple. So for me, coming from an Avaya background and seeing Mitel and Cisco, where the licensing is an utter nightmare, to be perfectly honest. It's expensive, it's prohibitive, it leaves everybody confused. You need a bloody degree in a lot of the manufacturers to just understand the licensing. So the fact that the licensing is so simple is just quite refreshing.
Nice.
The fact there isn't the licensing is based upon concurrent sessions, and that's all we need to know. So how many concurrent sessions will your business have? Right, fantastic. This is the list of features that you'll get. And the list of features is phenomenal. It's far beyond most other systems that often need bolt-ons and add-ons and huge technical expertise, both in-house and within their business. This is very much a turnkey solution. And by that I mean we can literally spin up a new 3CX instance within sort of a couple of hours. I'll cover myself and say 24. But the guys can do that. It does on-prem, it does hybrid, it does high availability, it does cloud. We can host that within our sort of data centers, and it's got a fantastic handset range, decked solution from all the big manufacturers.
Absolutely.
I know you're going to ask some of the features.
Yeah, already ahead.
I'm on to you today, Manny. So, I struggle with this because I've been in the industry so long. For me, it's kind of, just a given. But I think it's but I think it's what speaking to you. What's an auto? So it comes with auto attendant. You'll say, but what's an auto attendant? I say, it's an auto attendant, Manny. And you look at me quizzically, and I'm like, well, you should know. But why would you know?
Yeah, is that education for customers or just inquiring minds? What is it?
What is it? So basically, you ring the business and you get the options to press 1 for sales, 2 for accounts, 3 for support, and you can have multi-levels. So it could go 1 for a regional department, and then we break it down. And it's about driving efficiency. So that call is then routed to the correct department, and essentially the correct person is handling your call. There was a statistic done with Gamma, and I probably can't remember. I think it was 70%. It was actually 82%.
Oh wow!
Memory. You might have to check that, Manny, and edit.
We'll fact check it.
But I think it was about 82% of people. Expectation now as end users is through the charts. We're expecting our fault resolution to be done there and then on first interaction. We're not expecting to be handed from agent to agent to agent. That is the worst thing that we can possibly do. So it's about delivering that efficiency. It's about getting that call delivered to the right person with the right skills at the right time.
Yeah.
So it's things like, auto attendant and skills-based routing is another one, which is out of the box, whereas traditionally that'd be an enterprise level add-on. I remember for the Avaya, it was, we'd have to bring third parties in. I loved it as a technical person. It was hands-on, but it was ridiculously complicated. And for the end user or for the customer experience, it was always, difficult to manage, difficult to update, a lot of reliance upon the support services. Whereas 3CX it just comes bundled. So the skills-based routing is essentially call comes in, languages is a good one, and let's say you speak fluent Spanish, but your Italian is not quite up there.
Yeah.
We're doing linguistics. We can know from pressing the option that we need to route that call to somebody who's got that Spanish skill set or that Italian, and it can route to the relevant person. So again, just that first interaction, that one point of contact, that single answer to the question is massive, and it creates efficiency for the business, and it creates a great customer experience for the person on the end of the phone at the end of the day.
Makes their life easier.
Yeah, it's also got a really strong feature set in terms of call reporting, call queuing.
What's call queuing? Yeah, because I touched on that.
Yeah, and again, I go back to my assumption that everyone knows.
I'm speaking for the people just like me.
Yeah. So call queuing is essentially, often used in call center environments, but if we've got 5 agents, we could have actually 10 calls being delivered, and whilst then 5 agents are taking 5 of the 10 calls, we've got another 5 calls which are just queued against the system, so we can play comfort messages. We can actually use it like this, Manny. Use it for sort of advertising and upselling, or we might have a promotion on, or we might have a major outage. I know Virgin and BT have had a major outage probably a couple of years ago. We could put that on and then reduce the stress levels on our support guys, because it's going to be the same answer to everyone, unfortunately. So that's kind of that. But then we can build on that with things like queued callback.
Yeah.
So there's nothing worse is that you ring the doctor's surgery in the morning and you sat there for 45 minutes. You are queue position 72. You are queue position 71 10 minutes later. And it's like, again, as a customer experience,
it's draining.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So we can do things like queue callback. So we can say, you are position number 72, but if you press 1, we can schedule a callback as soon as your position gets to an agent.
Nice.
Or we could build on that and say, give us a time slot that would work for you, and we'll try our best essentially to deliver that call at that time. So there's that. It's been really popular across, funnily enough, GP surgeries, because where they're really busy in the morning. I think the important thing to take from that is a lot of people look at some of these features and kind of presume that they're not for their business.
Yeah.
But again, taking the GP surgery example, who would have expected them to benefit from that? And they all use it on reception in the morning.
Yeah.
Again, schools, there's that influx in the morning first thing. So we can kind of benefit from them. Or one of the old ones we used to do is like absence lines. So people ringing in to the school to report an absence, they can just leave. We can ask them a series of questions. What's your child's name? What's the reason for absence? What form are they in? And then we can just deliver that to the relevant person. They can follow that up, or they can just mark that on their sheet, I suppose. Yeah,
because you can imagine when that happens for a business, it's frustrating for the customer, but it's even more frustrating for the business, where they know they're missing business, they know they're missing customers. Customers are going potentially to competitors, are just giving up, and again, they would feel onus that they're giving bad customer service. But if they have a system to where, if it is a busy period, they can still make sure that they provide time and attention to that customer without having them waiting on a switchboard, it just eases their mind.
Yeah, like I say, it's not we're not doing anything different. It's just taking what the capabilities and actually finding the bits within that system that benefits that business.
Yeah. So if a business did want to transition from whatever system they're using right now that doesn't have these capabilities to the likes of 3CX, Is it a smooth process? Is it
Absolutely.
stringent?
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously, we've been doing this for many years. It's something I speak to clients who have that nervousness, and I think because we've done it so many times, for us, it's second nature. But yeah, we can, as I alluded to before, we can spin up a new service within hours.
Yeah.
In an emergency, we can do that probably a bit quicker. And certainly the transition it's about just hand-holding and understanding. So we can do that migration in certainly a couple of days if need be. We prefer to sort of do a bit of planning, a bit of understanding, and the training and all the things that come after.
Yeah.
But if you were pushing me, we've got an emergency, we've got a system down, we've got to get something in. Push comes to shove, we could probably do that the same day.
Nice, very nice. Yeah.
Certainly not the way we would normally go about it. It'd be a lot more structured. We'd have Sarah involved for the project management and make sure everything's delivered to a specific time scale and on time.
Yeah.
And the great thing with that, certainly when you are hosting it with us, is we can do proof of concepts, which I think is a massive thing. So we can actually say to you, look guys, we're pretty confident in what we do. So we do try before you buy. So we'll do a 30 days. Look, if you don't like it, if it's not for you, you've no commitments.
Yeah.
And the proof of concept is massive. More complex, bespoke, custom solutions, which we've got a few going at the minute. I, as an owner of the business and director, I need to be comfortable and not worried that we're not delivering, and it is what we say it is. Absolutely. And it's that ability to just reassure.
Absolutely. And I think maybe one worry that you can certainly answer that customers or businesses may happen is, oh, good, it may take a couple hours, may take half a day, may be done, in a couple of minutes, who knows? But will they suffer from any downtime of, ever being in a position where they have no connection, no telephone ringing?
Look, let's be honest. Things do go wrong. Right? We'd be kidding ourselves. We're quite proud of the fact that our uptime at our data centre is 99.95% over the last 5 years. And we put business continuity options in place. So, I was speaking to the lady here about internet's a listed building. It's taking 12 months to actually get an internet connection, which is crazy. But that's some of the challenges that we kind of come up against. But where we're hosting solutions, we'll tend to advise on a business continuity option. So we'll put a primary and a failover circuit in.
Okay.
We can take it to the level of that's a seamless failover. So there's no interaction required from the end user. I've had it I've had it once where it was that seamless they didn't actually know the primary circuit had gone down.
Okay.
It wasn't until we alerted them, because we have a monitoring and alerting system, that their primary circuit was down, and that business just continued. But I know previous to that, and I'll reference COP, they'd had, because they're in the middle of the sort of sticks up in Saddleworth, they had outages previously, and the impact on their business was, was tens of thousands of pounds.
You can imagine, yeah.
For just a morning, which again, speaking to that R&D at the time, Chris, that really resonated with me as to why we need to put something in place that makes sure your business operates as normal. There's always going to be situations that none of us can avoid. That's just the nature of the sort of industry we work in. But we can certainly put in place as many business continuity options as possible. Disaster recovery.
Absolutely.
Something I'm quite keen on.
It's vital for businesses that reassurance that, again, we're all human and technology is technology. Things may go wrong, but again, they have that communication line, they have that support and that reassurance that, help is on hand. There's nothing better than, or nothing worse really than a disaster happening and you're trying to get in contact with, your provider or your source, and there's no communication, there's nothing they can do, and you're kind of left in the dark and just do your own devices. It's good that we don't do that.
And I think that the nature of the world now is everything is online. Everything is driven online. When I certainly started in the industry, we'd have servers and big racks, and many of the benefits of it. We can talk about carbon carbon footprint and savings, and also the risks of hosting them points of failure on site. They're all now just moving to the cloud, which is essentially a big data census. So the reliance on connectivity just becomes more and more and more.
Yeah.
We've seen it now. We've gone from, back when I started, it was 64 kilobyte. I mean, this is before you were probably before you were now. 64 kilobyte per second leased lines, and we now, luckily, just Gamma have given us approval for doing 10 gigabyte.
Nice.
So that's kind of in the space of 15, 20 years where we've gone from. I mean, I certainly remember personally the 56k dial-up modems. I even remember the 28.8k. And going from that, they jumped to 1 meg, they jumped to 24 meg, they jumped to 80 meg, and now we're privileged in that we're getting fibre to the premise, which is just a game changer. It's something they've had in Scandinavian countries for, 15, 20 years, if not more. So we're just playing catch up all the time. I often refer it to a bit like the train infrastructure.
Okay.
Because we were quite far ahead at the time. It's now really catching up with us, and we're so far behind our sort of European partners. It's mental.
Brilliant. So for a customer, if they, certainly find features that benefit their business and they know it's a smooth process, how can they get in contact with us?
Yeah, easy. Just reach out. You can. Easiest things, pick up the phone. Telephone numbers 016-1470-6212. You can always drop an email to sales@redrockcommunications.co.uk, or feel free to reach out to me or one of the members of the team on any social media. We've all got LinkedIn presence now, thanks, Manny.
You're welcome.
I might not check it as often as I should, and I might not post as often as I probably get told.
You got a bucket load of content now to post.
I'll be honest, Manny, when we took you on, I thought, fantastic, Manny's going to take care of all my LinkedIn posts, and I'm not going to have to do it. And alas, that doesn't seem to be the case. But yeah, in seriousness, we're open to many ways of different communications, as you can imagine.
Absolutely, which is great.
Just get in touch, guys.
Again, and if it's for, a solution like 3CX or anything, or even if it's just a chat, we're in the community, we work with various charities.
Yeah, would love to come out.
Yeah, we've done great things again with, mental health and, the burnout sessions. So we are trying to be more than just a telecoms provider, like I said, really just consultants within the telecoms industry, but for the community. So I think, that leads us to the end of this segment. Thank you very much, Paul.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Manny.
More than welcome. So before we close, certainly, I wanted to give you some updates on things that will be coming up in November for Red Rock. First, we will be focusing more on our local campaign. With the local campaign, what we've, again, alluded to, that I know Paul touched on, we wanted to have more of a presence within the Manchester, Duckingfield, Oldham and Stockport area. So we will be doing more of a targeted campaign towards local estate agents, local accountants, local solicitors, and really all the independent firms who, we may need a phone line that isn't really big switch off approved just yet. So we'll be coming in. You'll see a lot more local targeted social media posts and email campaigns going out. One thing as well that you can actually do is see us at the Great British Expo that we'll be attending on the 23rd of November. So that will be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Come visit us. You're more than welcome. We can, again, have a direct consultation with you there and then, where we can have a quick glimpse to understand your business, see what pain points you have, and again, provide a solution on the spot of what you potentially may need. And again, take your contact details and then arrange a proper consultation where we'll come in, provide that bespoke solution for you with time management in place and project management in place, so you are very much aware of what's happening at what time. By all means, if you've got your tickets, see you there. If not, then I'm sure the link will be below. So come visit us by all means there as well. And I think in November, we're just going to have a big more push really internally as well. We're doing a lot more culture stuff to really strengthen the bond that we have in the team. There's 10 of us now, and we're certainly looking to expand. But what we always wanted to do is really make sure that everyone knows what the brand is and what we stand for. So we'll be doing a lot more social content on that area. We also for next week's podcast, we will be bringing on a special guest for with actually the Willowwood Hospice. So the Willowwood Hospice is a client that I've brought into the fold who has done great works within the local community in Duckenfield and beyond. So we'll be sitting down and having a discussion with Lisa Buckley, who works in the fundraising team, again understanding who the local hospice is, what great works they have done, the works that they are doing, what they're looking out for, and again touching more on that relationship with Red Rock and them. So make sure you look out for that as well. And I think there's just a lot more great work to be done. Again, I've been, as you can certainly adhere to, I've been in this role not too long, but there's a lot of changes already that have been in place, but for the better. So I think if you just make sure that you stay connected with us on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, to see all the regular updates in the office and outside of the office. We did a very good posting case study on Hopwood Hall, where you could see Chris, some of the technical work that he's done there. Again, the case study that we did when we went to Opal will be out, and also Harvey. So we'll be doing a lot more real life content, really, of, again, showing who we are as a brand, but certainly some of the fantastic work we do for our clients continuing. And yeah, I just know November is going to be a jam-packed month, just in time for Christmas in December. Is there anything else, Paul, that they should look out for in November that's coming up?
I think that's it, to be honest, Manny. Yeah. You threw me with that last one. No, it's been fantastic, Manny. Thank you.
Oh, the pleasure is mine. So yeah, thank you very much for watching or listening, whichever stream that you are, taking in this information. Again, just remember that we'll be doing a lot more of this, but it's more to pass the information on. In marketing, I think one thing that most companies struggle is actually not just getting a message out, but getting it out in a digestible, interactive way that people can get involved and get an honest approach, really. You can write an article, you can write a post, but sometimes it may miss people, it might not get people. But we hope with the introductions of the podcast and again things like the British Expo, you do get a first-hand experience of not only who we are but how we can help. Brilliant.
Cheers, Manny.
So yeah, without further ado, this has been Red Rock presents Wired for Success. I've been Emmanuel.
I've been Paul.
And see you soon.